Hi everybody, namaste and good morning to all of you. Nashvlogs welcomes you here. If you're new to our channel, please be generous and subscribe. Be nice and subscribe and leave us a like and a comment below. When you guys comment, I really feel, I get that energy to start new vlogs like every day because I'm doing daily vlogs. So if you land on our channel anywhere or anybody suggested it, please subscribe, like, share and comment as well. So in today's vlog, as you can see in the title, I'm just going to be talking about the differences between my husband's culture and my culture. Now, before I go ahead, like in India, they also have different cultures, different tribes, just like how we have here in Uganda. So India is very big. India is like, I don't know how many times bigger than my country, Uganda. And I got married in a state, in a state called Odisha, and in Odisha and other states in India, they will be having different cultures, different tribes, and all that, right? So my husband's language will be differing. Maybe somebody who is watching this video, like the languages will be differing, or maybe you'll be coming from the same state and you might be knowing about these differences I'm going to be talking about. So there are so many common differences, the differences between cultures, right, around the world. And when it comes to India, India is completely and like truly different from all other cultures around the world. So I got married in a not so modern family in Odisha, in a district called Balaso is where I got married, and there are villages and stuff. So yeah, I got married in a not so modern home, right? But I'm so happy and so glad that they accepted me even though they're not that much modern. I am going to be talking about these differences. There are 10. I noted them down because I know I will forget. Obviously, anybody who would want to talk about such things will have to note them down because we will forget. So before I go ahead, if I speak anything wrong, maybe it may be wrong in your culture, but this is what I got to know after getting married to my husband. Like, this is what I saw in his culture. So let's start. The first one is about marriage, and this is the dowry thingy. Everybody around the world know about the dowry in India. And you who is watching might be knowing that in India, ladies are the ones to give the dowry. Okay, like when a girl is going to get married, like her family sends her off with each and everything. Sometimes the boy's family will ask for it, but then sometimes it will be out of courtesy from the mother's side, like from the girl's side. They give her each and everything to go with, which is called dowry. Okay, these days things are changing, obviously. Like the government is trying, I think the government is trying to erase that out of the dowry thingy because it's been too much on the girl's side. So this thing has started way before my mother-in-law has even told me a story of her marriage. Like by that time, there were no, these fancy rides and stuff, but bikes were on. Like every boy used to want to own a bike, and bikes were so expensive by that time. So my mother's side was rich, when they got them the arranged marriage. My father-in-law asked for a bike as a dowry, okay? And they gave him a very, very strong bike in which he still has it right now. Like sometimes he uses it if he doesn't use his motorcycle and stuff. So he uses the bike that he got when he's married. So imagine, like here in Uganda, it is the man to give the dowry to us. It is our culture. Like it is our culture. When you have a girl, when you give birth to a girl, you expect when she's getting married to get dowry from the husband's side, and then before they get married, you guys sit down and come to a conclusion of like, we need this sum, or maybe we need, in my culture they give cows. Maybe the man with the lady's family will be like, you can give us maybe 15 cows, or maybe how many cows. It is up to the man whether he gives cows or he gives solid cash, right? So it is so different between my husband's culture and my culture. In my culture, it is the lady to receive the dowry, and in my husband's culture, it is the lady to give. You understand what I'm saying? So that thing has been going on for ages in India, and everybody knows it, like around the world, because if you watch the series and stuff, you might be knowing it. So my husband at one time told me, like, the side of the girl gets each and everything, including saucepans, including couch, chairs, anything that they think of. Some even give cars. Some boys go out of hand and they ask for those other stuff, which the government is trying to erase. I think that is what I've heard. The next thing that I've seen in my husband's culture, the relationship between the eldest son and the youngest daughter-in-law is completely different. They don't joke about it. In my husband's culture, in Odisha, you don't joke about this relationship. So why do I say that it is completely different? In my husband's culture, what I have seen, like my husband is the eldest son of the family, right? Like the family, okay, the clan, he's the second eldest, so that means I have an elder brother-in-law, okay? So, but in my family, he is the eldest son, which means my brother-in-law's wife, okay, my brother-in-law's wife has a different relationship between, there is a different relationship between her and my husband. Like, why do I say this? My husband is seated here, and my sister-in-law, I think they're both sister-in-laws, she wants to pass, she will pass there. She's not supposed to touch my husband's thing. She's not supposed to sit next to him. Sometimes she doesn't even talk in front of him. Like if she wants to extend anything to him, if I'm around, she will tell me. If my mother-in-law is around, she will tell him, or if there is, she will tell her, or if there is anybody around, she will tell that person. The person has to tell my husband, right? She's not supposed to touch his things. She's not supposed to touch his leftovers. Like when he's done eating, she's not even supposed to touch his plate. Like if there is nobody around, he gets his own plate and just pour water around it, like I don't know how it is called, just clean it around with water and then place it somewhere, and then she can touch it. She's not supposed to touch his leftovers. If I am around, I will be the one to wash my husband's plate. If I'm not around, my mother-in-law is around, she is the one to wash her son's plate. So she's not supposed to touch his leftovers in general, right? She's not supposed to come close to him. She's not supposed to get just close to him when she's in the kitchen and my husband needs something in the kitchen. Let me say they bump into each other, she just goes into the corner, and that is just the tradition. That is the thing that they have grown up with in Odisha as their culture, and we should respect such things, right? So when I went to India at first, I was finding it weird, like who does this? But then I realized later that it is culture, and with culture we have to really respect it so much. So that is the relationship between them. The same thing applies to me when I meet my husband's cousin, like the eldest son of the clan of their tribe, something like that. I am not supposed to do the same things. Like if he's sitting there, I'm not supposed to pass by him. You're supposed to cover yourself up when he's around, and your eldest brother-in-law is around. So that is just the tradition around my husband's culture. The other thing in India, in my husband's culture, the other thing that I am going to be talking about is just related to this that I've talked about. It is the dress code of the daughter-in-law. Now, in my husband's culture, of course, they have daughters and stuff, and daughters grow up putting on what I'm putting on right now. This is called kurti, or two-piece or something, like they grow up putting on this, right? But once you get married, you have to put on a sari. Like it is a must. You have to put on a sari in your in-laws' home, and you have to always cover yourself. Like nobody should see your head, around your head and stuff. Like it is just the culture, right? Your husband can see that maybe when you're in your bedroom, you can take it off or whatever. When I go to India, I have to always be covered. Like it is their culture. If you move around the whole, village and stuff, you find all the lady covered up because it is the culture. Once a daughter, you get married in that home, you just have to take up the culture, right? The other thing I'm going to be talking about is respecting elders. Okay, like respecting elders is there in all cultures, in all countries and stuff, but in India it is something so different. In this sense, what I mean is you have to always receive blessings from your elders. You guys must have seen it in movies and stuff. You touch their feet for their blessings. But in my husband's culture, like when you're seeking blessings, when you're a daughter-in-law, like to elders, from elders, you bow down, you put your head down, and then you receive blessings from them. And then the other thing, when I say respecting elders, I mean, you're not supposed to call an elder's name. Like, for example, we're raising our children not to call, elders' names like neighbors, my son is not supposed to call my neighbor her name or his name or whatever. Even, neighbors' kids who are elder than them, they are not supposed to be calling them their names. They either call them brother, which is Bhai, or Bhaiya in Hindi, or Didi, or they're just not supposed to be calling them their names. Didi means specifically sister. So that is also another respect that is, even though they go to the market right now, I'm used to it. I don't feel comfortable calling an elder's name. If I find out you're elder than me, okay, for my family it is something different because I've grown up doing that, so I can call my brother his name. But sometimes I try to avoid that because now I'm into the culture and I feel the importance of doing that, like respecting your elders, right? So when you even go to the market, when I go to the market, I don't call those guys their names. I either call mommy if she's so elder, or I call auntie, or something, but I don't call them their names because this is the culture that I've seen after getting married to my husband. The other thing I'm going to talk about is, once a daughter is married, in my husband's culture, she's married. Why am I saying that? Now, when you're a girl in somebody's family and they marry you off and you go to your in-laws' home, that means your in-laws' home has become your home. You get what I'm saying? Do you understand? Your in-laws' home has become your home. Now your home has become, you become a visitor to your home. And you don't just come usually, just like that. Once in a while, when it is important, it is when you go. When it's not important, you don't go. Like, you can go maybe on festivals, or maybe death, or maybe, some festival, or, stuff like that. But you can't just wake up and I'm like, I'm going to my mom's home. It doesn't happen in my husband's culture. Once a daughter is married, she's gone. She's gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? She is gone. Some even parents take it to an extent, like, when marriage fails, or when your husband dies, when your husband dies, you don't go back to your in-laws, to your mother's home. You stay in your in-laws home for as long as those guys can keep you. If you've lost a husband, if they're like, you can stay here, you're our daughter and stuff, you stay there. Okay, if they don't want you to stay around and they're like, you're still young, you can go and move on or have a life or stuff, you can just go. But then this is changing slowly by slowly, whereby in-laws allow their daughters-in-law to move on in life, maybe to get married, remarried, but it is not so common. It is, I've had, it is just like a 1% of them, but then most of them prefer their daughters-in-law to stay in their homes, even though the unfortunate has happened, right? So once you get married, you're married when your daughter in India. The other thing that I'm going to be, I don't know, most of these are centered around women because I am a woman and this is what I have found out after getting married in India. So don't be like, why is it always about women? Because I am a woman and this is what I found out in India and I would like to share it with you guys. So the other thing that I'm going to be talking about is period. Now, in my husband's culture, period is something that is, I don't know how to define it, I don't know how to call it, but when you're in your period, in my husband's culture, and you're a daughter-in-law, you don't touch anything that is going to be served to your father-in-law. Like, if he needs water and he tells you, can you please get me a glass of water? If you're in your period, you don't do that. If there is nobody around, you just tell him I can't, and he will understand, right? And he will go get his water himself. Or if there is somebody around, let me say if my mother-in-law is around, I just say, Mom, like Papa needs water. She will go and get him water because obviously she knows that, right? The other thing is, you don't go into the kitchen when you're in your periods. You people must have seen it maybe in series or movies or stuff. Things are changing these days. Like, it's starting to move, to erase that a little bit. Okay, you don't touch rice because rice is something so vital in my husband's culture. Like, sometimes there is even that festival of rice and stuff. because they believe it is keeping them alive, it is giving them food, so they respect rice. So you don't touch rice when you're in your periods. When you wake up in the morning, okay, when you wake up in the morning, let me add this. When you wake up in the morning and you've not yet taken a shower, when you're a daughter-in-law at home, you don't touch rice. You can touch other things. You can make maybe a curry or stuff, chop onion. If there is a person who is done taking a bath, you tell them to help you get the rice for somebody who wants to eat. Another thing is, in my husband's culture, there is nothing like staying apart. It is strictly joint families. You have to stay together, mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, whoever, in one home. It is just the culture that they have grown up seeing, they have taken on, for ages and ages and years and years and decades, right? So it is still going on. Joint families are still there. Like, joint family is a joint family. In towns, things are changing. Like, for example, we are here, we are working here. Of course, we have to stay away from family. But once we go to India, we're in a joint family. Everybody is around in one home, which doesn't happen in my culture, right? The other thing is purifying the home. So in my husband's culture, whenever my mother-in-law wakes up, she's the first person that wakes up usually, and then the daughters-in-law will follow, because she wakes up, she first cleanses the home with either cow dung. They get cow dung, put it in water, and form a liquid, and then they sprinkle it around the home. If you don't have cow dung and you have the holy water into the house, like the Ganga water, you use that to sprinkle around the house. And then they have the shell. It is, how is it called? Sanka. In my husband's language, it's called Sanka. They just blow it, and then that is when we, the daughters-in-law, realize it. Like, it's morning. So I think that doesn't happen in my culture. In my culture, you can't sleep. My mother is so different. The daughter-in-law can even sleep to 10 and she has no problem. But in India, their culture is completely different. The other thing is about cooking. Like, in my culture, at times, they cook once for the whole day. Like, you can cook, let me say you make matoke, and then we'll have some lunch, and then we'll have some dinner. That doesn't happen in my husband's culture. My husband's culture means morning you have to cook, lunchtime you have to cook, dinner you have to cook. Like, they need fresh foods. There is nothing like keeping this for tomorrow. If there is something that has remained, like, let me say curry and stuff, the men of the home don't eat it. It is us, the ladies of the house, maybe we can eat it, but then you can't serve it to the men of the home. That is completely different from my culture. My culture, it's okay, you can just, warm it, it's still okay, and you just give it out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then praying, the last one, praying. I don't want to make a very long video, I would explain more, but praying. So in my husband's culture, we pray in the morning and in the evening. Which in the evening is the most important prayer for a daughter-in-law of the home. Like, in the evenings is when you pray, and you cleanse the house. It's just important to pray in the evening as the daughter-in-law of the home in my husband's culture. Of which, for us here, if they're Muslims, they'll go to pray on Friday. Okay, in the home they can talk to God and stuff, but then in my husband's culture, you find they don't even need to go to the temple. Like, they do it from home. You get what I'm saying? For us here, they'll go on Friday or Sunday or Saturday. You know what I'm saying? But for them, evening is so important for a daughter-in-law to pray. That is something that I've seen that is so different from us. You get what I'm saying? And they pray every day. Like, every single day is a day of prayer. There is nothing like, today is Sunday, I have to go to church. No. Once in a while they can go to the temple, but then they have God in the home. So they pray each and every day, morning, evening. You get what I'm saying? So those are the differences that I saw between my husband's culture and my culture. There are very many more differences, but I have noted down the 10, and they're the only ones that I've talked about, because if I make a very long video, guys don't like it, So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, if you have any question about what I've said, or if you have any complaint about what I've said, please put it down below in the comment section, and I'll have to answer you from there. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Love you. Bye. Namaste.